Welcome to This Explainer. I'm genuinely so excited to guide you through today's topic. We're going to explore a deeply fascinating historical account of Jesus, but we're zeroing in on one specific aspect, his role as a profoundly compassionate healer. And look, this isn't just about blowing the dust off some ancient events. As you'll see, the moments we're digging into today offer a surprisingly encouraging perspective for our own life journeys right now. We'll be looking really closely at how he interacted with everyday people, the literal mind-boggling scope of his power, and the intensely personal nature of his care. Okay, let's jump right in by anchoring ourselves on the foundational premise of our source text. The text makes this incredibly sweeping, bold claim that Jesus possesses the power to heal absolutely anyone, period. It's a massive statement, right? So we're going to unpack exactly how that actually played out on the ground, moving from these massive, chaotic crowds to the deeply intimate, one-on-one encounters that really defined his daily life. To actually grasp this power, we've got to look at the literal, historical reality of his ministry in Galilee. Our text drops us right into the middle of the action. Immediately after leaving the local synagogue, Jesus walks right into the house of Simon and Andrew, bringing James and John along with him. I absolutely love this detail because, we aren't dealing with vague, floaty myths here. This is a specific geographic location, a real physical house with actual people just living their everyday lives. Now, take a look at this timeline. It brilliantly captures the sheer momentum of his days. I mean, it's exhausting just looking at it. He goes from public teaching in the synagogue during the day straight to private domestic life in the afternoon. Then boom, by sunset, a massive citywide gathering literally erupts right at their front door. But, and this is absolutely crucial, notice step 4. By early morning, while it's still pitch black outside, he retreats to pray. It shows this incredible intentional balance between immense public output and deeply private spiritual restoration. Let's actually zoom in on what happens at step 2 of that timeline. Inside that house, Simon's mother-in-law is lying sick with a fever. The text tells us they immediately spoke to Jesus about her. And right here, we see his incredible personal touch. He doesn't just, shout a generic word of healing from across the room. He physically walks over, takes her by the hand, and raises her up. The result? The fever leaves immediately. So completely, in fact, that she gets right up and begins to serve them. This isn't just some flashy display of power, it's a deeply personal domestic restoration. Now there is a serious, dramatic contrast here. As evening falls and the sun sets, the text points out that literally the entire city gathered at the door, bringing everyone who is ill and demon-possessed. You can imagine it. It's chaotic, it's massive, and it's overwhelmingly public. Yet, juxtaposed right against all that chaos, he does something totally surprising. While it was still dark the very next morning, Jesus intentionally leaves the house and seeks out a secluded place to pray. He actively, deliberately steps away from the fame and the swirling crowds to ground himself. But, to be fair, before that quiet morning retreat, the sheer scale of his healing power was on full, undeniable public display. The text clearly states he healed many who were ill with various diseases and cast out many demons. And what's truly fascinating to me here is the specific detail that he actively silenced the demons because they knew who he was. He wasn't just indiscriminately healing, he was tightly, purposefully controlling the narrative and the exact timing of his mission. He absolutely refused to let his identity be broadcasted by the very dark forces he was defeating. So the really crucial point is what happens when Simon and the others frantically search for him and finally track him down in that secluded spot. They run up and tell him, "Everyone is looking for you." Now you'd probably expect him to capitalize on that intense local popularity, right? Strike while the iron is hot. Instead, Jesus reveals his deeper purpose. He tells them, "Let's go somewhere else to the towns nearby, so that I may also preach there, for this is why I came." He flat out refuses to be boxed in as just a local miracle worker. He perfectly balances his immense healing ministry with a much broader, intentional mission to preach throughout all Galilee. As he journeys onward, preaching in synagogues all throughout the region, he encounters a man with leprosy. Now pause for a second. To truly grasp the weight of what happens next, we have to define true compassion. In the context of this historical account, his compassion isn't just some fleeting feeling of pity or, sending good vibes from afar. It is a profound action-oriented movement of the heart. It's a feeling that literally drives him to physically intervene, to reach out and to heal the hurting. Keep that exact definition in the back of your mind as we look at this next event. Let's move to this emotional climax and see how it builds.
This man with leprosy comes right up to Jesus, imploring him, falling to his knees in the dirt, and says, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Wow, it is such a desperate, beautiful plea. Notice that the man absolutely does not doubt Jesus' power for a second. He only questions his willingness. And Jesus' response? It's instant, it's confident, and it's completely life-changing. "I am willing, be cleansed."
And this brilliantly, perfectly illustrates the depth of the compassion we just defined. The text explicitly says Jesus was moved with compassion. He didn't just speak the healing from a safe, socially acceptable, sanitary distance. No, the text explicitly notes that he reached out with his hand and touched him. Remember, in that era, having leprosy made a person a complete social and religious outcast. They were legally and culturally untouchable. Yet Jesus extends deep, personal compassion by physically touching the untouchable, and immediately the leprosy left him. Immediately after this profound, intimate miracle, Jesus does something super interesting to firmly anchor this event in a real historical time and place. He sternly warns the cleansed man and gives him really specific instructions. Go to the priest, show yourself, and offer the cleansing commanded by Moses. Jesus is making absolutely sure that this healing is verified through the established social and religious channels of the day. It wasn't meant to just be a private, fleeting moment. It was designed to serve as a public, undeniable historical testimony to them. But, as you might guess, the man's excitement completely took over. Despite Jesus' strict warning to say nothing to anyone, the guy is just way too overjoyed. He goes out and begins to freely proclaim it, spreading the news everywhere like wildfire. The result of all that buzz? Jesus' reputation as a healer becomes so incredibly magnetic that he actually can't no longer publicly enter a city. He's literally forced to stay out in unpopulated areas. Yet, even out there in the wilderness, the text notes that the crowds relentlessly sought him out, hiking out to him from absolutely everywhere. Which brings us to a really important reflection for our own lives today. We've just traced this incredible journey of a man who demonstrated ultimate power over disease and darkness. But he coupled it with the most intimate, rule-breaking compassion imaginable. He took the fevered woman by the hand. He reached out and physically touched the untouchable outcast. He is the willing healer. And because he was a historical reality then, he is also a present reality now. So I have to ask you, where do you need his healing touch today? Whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual brokenness, this account invites us to confidently bring the whole shebang to him. I truly hope this explainer has been a deeply encouraging part of your own life journey. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and keep learning.